Well, hello and welcome to SkyTour livestream. We've had a bit of a break, and that's only because of the fact that we've had a spate of bad weather. We had that cyclone on the west coast, and we're kind of going in between clouds tonight, in fact. So we're gonna give it our best shot. Let's hope that we get somewhere tonight. All right. As always, you know that I have Daryl Mason with us. Hello, Daryl. How are you?
Mark, I'm well, thank you. How are you? Hello, everybody.
I'm doing fine, thanks. Your weather's been good, yeah?
Some better than others. It's been nice and warm for this time of year lately, though. It may even hit 60 here in a day or two.
Wow.
And I went out and looked before the stream started. Skies are mostly clear here.
Wow. Well, we're doing our best to see if they're going to be clear out there. We're hoping. Trying very hard.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I'm going to try very hard to wish those clouds away. We have a few of them. If you're new here to SkyTour livestream, some of you are. I noticed in the chat there. Hi, Ricardo. Dean Bosador's with us, and Roni Hassan's with us. Donald Kunzer's with us. And I want to say hi to Julian. Hello, Julian. How are you? Welcome to you from the United Kingdom, where you are listening, I believe. And Isabella's with us. Hello, Isabella. How are you? Isabella, I sent you a message in Skype, so please go read it.
Isabella says my audio is quite low.
You're going out. Yeah, I've got you maxed out.
Okay.
There you go. So
I'll try to talk a little louder, but we'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the best we can do, because I've got you maxed out in my broadcast software. So you could increase at your end if you want to. You know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, my settings are where they always are.
I understand.
Hi, Dad. Is that too loud for you?
No, I can control you.
Okay. Does that sound better, people?
Well, we'll see.
Donald says the same.
Okay.
Anyway, carry on.
All right. No problem. What I will do is we're going to start off here. I'll show you where we are in the sky. So let me bring up our planetarium. We are looking at the Needle's Eye Galaxy. You can't see it in the view, I realize, but it's sitting just past the meridian. Okay, you can see the meridian is the point that's directly south. Basically, the line that goes straight up and down on the south. And just to the right is this Needle's Eye Galaxy. And we're going to check out one more galaxy right next to it, which is actually just down below it. So it's going to be this other one here. But we'll check it. Yeah, we're going to have two in one, right?
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
NGC 253?
NGC 253. That's this guy right here. Okay, it's the Sculptor Galaxy, also known as the Silver Coin Galaxy, or the Silver Dollar. But we're looking here at this one right now. This is a galaxy known as the Needle's Eye, and you'll see why it's called the Needle's Eye in just a moment. You can barely see it here in our 1 second exposure. It definitely needs more time. So we've been guiding on this for some time. I'm just going to move us a little bit to the east. All right, there we go. And now when I do that, it's going to reinitialize our guider. And the guider data is right there, up above me there, right here. Okay, and when you see the numbers start to show up, it means we're guiding. This is the telescope in the building. Telescope control is here. Camera control is over here. And the main view is here, which we can do wonderful things with. We can maximize it like this. We can bring it back and get back the telescope, which is what we want to do at times, okay, like, from where we're actually taking pictures. So that'll give us an opportunity. Once we'll maximize it once we actually once we see some data. Right now, there we go. So let's start the exposure here. We're going to take an exposure. We're going to do an exposure of, let's say, We'll say 35 seconds. No, I won't. I'll just say 30 seconds. All right.
Watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto. Must have had the wrong hat. Remember that?
Yeah.
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Bullwinkle's here.
Yeah. Hey, Bullwinkle. Okay, that trick never works. Okay. So 30 seconds, off we go. And you'll know we're going because you'll see down here in the right, you'll see that little yellow indicator moving across the screen. That gives us everything we need to know. Hello, Greg O'Brien and Bullwinkle and you guys. I'm glad to see you here tonight. Daisy and Zoe, good to see you as well. And we're going to pull up our live stack now and get the live stack going. All right. And we're going to remove this and clear this past one. All right. And we are at 50%. Okay. So the color looks a little bit blue because the sky is a little bit blue because we do have the moon up right now. All right. But that's not to say that there's going to be anything that we are not going to be able to see because we can color correct like this. And we can correct for the brightness of the moon like that. And so what we do is we wait for some exposures to come in, and it'll give us the opportunity to see the Needle's Eye Galaxy and satellites ripping through. These diagonal streaks are getting taken care of as soon, potentially as soon as, I think in the next week or so. Hello, Andy Carley, how are you? Native NC, how are you? Good to see you. These streaks are condensation streaks on the sensor, which we're getting rid of. I processed them out now, but that'll change. It's actually such an easy fix that either Marianne or Tara, the other people in SkyTour LiveStream, can go out there and do it. I don't have to be there for this, but I'll do it if I'm there. The only problem is it's 2,500 miles from here, so that telescope is out in the middle of the Arizona desert, and I'm in the state of Connecticut on the other side of the continent. All right, so here we go. We're taking this nice 30-second shot of the Needle's Eye Galaxy, and just to remind you of what it is, we can just throw this out there for you. Zip. Now you can see that's the Needle's Eye Galaxy. I guess I could have put an apostrophe after the E and made it apostrophe S, but I didn't. This is a satellite that you see right here. Okay. And it looks really pretty because they're kind of cool the way these satellites come through sometimes. But that line will disappear over time. And anyway, all we care about right now is this right here. This is the Needle's Eye Galaxy that we're looking at. All right. Again, these streaks over here, not important to us. All right. So that's all good. Then we'll take that out. So there's also another little one that's right here. This is interesting. There's a little feature right there. Do you see that?
I do. I think there's two of them, actually.
Yeah, there's one right here as well. Okay.
The more I see, I think 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if that's... Oops, sorry about that. I'm not sure if that's in the galaxy itself already. It belongs in the galaxy or not. You know, because there's one right here. Okay. And then we have these two right here. These objects, which are kind of cool to see. But we'll have to just wait and see. Well, let's let this flesh out a little more. Even with the moon out, we can get some pretty good data. We can darken this up. We can color correct this a little better. Let me just get rid of our drawing board here, and now I can color correct, and the blue will go away, turn like it should, and then we can darken up the background. And you can see this, and in order to make it a little better, I can take down the mid-level a little bit, and this helps a great deal, so you can actually see the color in the galaxy as well. All right, but like I said, we have some additional objects in the field that we have yet to identify. They may be in this galaxy. The one out here, this looks like another galaxy right here. Do you see that one?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one. This guy right here. That right there is an interesting object inside that box. Not sure what it is, but it's cool. All right. Thank you, Ricardo. That's very kind. He says, you rock. Well, you know what? So do you, man. Cosmic Rays with us. How you doing? Cosmic Ray says, universe is not locally real. 2022 Physics Nobel Prize winners proved it. Well, I had someone telling me today that you're just an astronomer. You stare at stuff in the past. What? Literally, like that was a bad thing. So, yes, I make my livelihood staring at things from the past. Well, how about an archaeologist? A historian? Guess I have problems with anybody looking back in time. They don't want to look at the here and now and forward? That doesn't make sense.
You know, that reminds me, I made a goof a while back and never corrected it.
Okay.
I was talking about an archaeology website or an archaeology channel on YouTube, and I named it one, and there are actually two.
Okay.
There's one called Ancient Architects.
Okay.
And there's actually another one called Ancient Architecture.
Really?
Yeah, and both are interesting channels if you like that sort of thing.
Wow.
They're the guys, they like to talk about Göbekli
Tepe, yeah.
And Abu Huraira and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And
Wow.
there's a couple other ones called the Prehistory guys, English guys. They're funny.
Wow. We're just waiting for some more exposures here. You look down the bottom here, you'll see we've stacked 13. About to do 14. You can see this information here, or you can see this information here. All right? And there we go. Now we're at 14. There we go. Nice. That's cool. I want to mention, guys, by the way, thank you, Andy Cowley. That's very nice of you. Great to have you listening and watching. Oh, can't see audio 5 and 5. Oh, okay. That's too bad. You're missing some good sites, Ricardo. But you know what? The stream is available on YouTube. You know, it'll be available on YouTube for a long time to come. That's my guess. All right, so now for another bit of interesting news. You know, SkyTour LiveStream now has a Patreon. If you want to be part of the SkyTour family in a interesting way, you can join our Patreon. You can go to the Patreon page and look for us. And we have 4 tiers. We have a $5 a month tier. And I never want to do the whole money thing, but I have to, because we're in the process of getting more telescopes and more buildings to bring this to you. And the goal is to have eventually have Southern Hemisphere telescopes as well. So I want to have world coverage eventually, and that's something that's out there now through other sources, but you just don't get the kind of access, you know, that you really want to, with interaction between people asking to see things, you know. So tier 1 is a shout out tier. It's a $5 a month tier. $10 a month tier gets you 4 of our highly processed finished images per month, and that's a $10 tier, as I said. The next tier is a $100 tier, but that tier allows you, and this is probably not aimed toward individuals as much as corporations or other organizations that want interesting stuff. At that tier, you actually get to see all of our highly processed, finished processed imagery that is worth framing, putting on canvas or metal. And then the $200 tier, believe it or not, gets you a personal tour along with everything else that we offer. So you'll be able to actually come online with us, be online with us. We'll talk and together. And like Daryl is talking with me now, you'll be in here with us, and you'll be asking about things to see in the sky, and we'll help you if you don't have a set of objects you want to see. If you say, I want to see some cool galaxies, well, we'll show you, cool galaxies. Okay. But if you want to see other things, we'll be happy to show you those as well. And basically, for 1 hour, the time is yours. And that 1 hour is not set in stone, because we can't set it in stone, because unfortunately, there's so many other things that come in. You know, if we're stacking like this, well, does that count? You know, and so we make amends for that. But we want you to get the most out of it, you know. Hey, Cheryl, Texas, how are you? Nice to see you. You know, nice to see you. It's nice to see you. Yeah, and as far as the Patreon site, I will put that link up at some point. It's probably a good idea to do it, though, right? I mean, I have to put that link in. I want you to know where you're going.
Which link?
My Patreon.
Oh, Izabela beat you to it.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, Izabela, thank you. Folks, if you don't know Izabela Melamed, she is in the chat. She does the table of contents for our streams. She is actually an elite contributor to the streams, so show her some love. And she's also a fantastic artist. And she needs to get more sleep. We all know that, but so do I, and so does Daryl. We're going to try and change our hours such that we can make it more amenable to people, because I'm an astronomer. That's what I went to school for. So when I'm up at night, I got to remember that not everyone is like me and wants to stay up all night long. I get it, you know. So like if Daryl says, you know, it's midnight, I'm turning into a pumpkin, time to go, he may go, I may continue, or I may say, you know, you're right, you know. So either way, this is it's all good. But if you ever a mind to visit our Patreon, that Izabela put the link in the chat, and check it out. Remember, everything we give it to is free anyway, so you can see it. And we also, okay, if you notice up here in the top, it's in tiny print, it says Needle's Eye Galaxy. When I save this picture, it's actually going to be shipped off from the observatory out to the cloud, where it will be spread to our servers, and you'll actually be able to get access to it for free and see the image here, the raw images that we produce, like this one, you know, with some processing to them. What you don't see are the finished, final processed images. Those are very, very different, and those actually have a very, I should say, a much more complete processing to them. And just to give you an idea, I was thinking maybe I should show you some of those, just so you can see what I'm talking about while this is integrating here. So let me see if I can do that. All right. So one thing at a time here. So we're still taking pictures here, and so we'll keep taking these pictures, and we'll keep stacking. But let me show you what you're in for if you want to get into this a little bit more. All right. So, all right. These images here I'm going to show you. Okay. These are the SkyTour LiveStream fully processed images. All right. Here they come. All right, there they are. And these are images that you'll get access to. They're full resolution. You'll be able to download them and take them down and do anything you want with them, okay? For instance, we look at the Veil Nebula a lot. The Veil Nebula is this beautiful supernova remnant, okay? This is a very large picture, okay? It's actually a lot bigger than this when it comes down now. I know it looks a little blurry, but that's because it's taking time getting all the data, so it's doing its placeholder. Now it's sharp. Look at that. This is the Veil Nebula. You can go through this. You can zoom in even more than this, and check out all the stuff that we did. Now, these are SkyTour LiveStream photographs. Daryl, you were with us when we took this picture. In fact, it was a series of pictures.
Yep.
All right. So this is a composite. All right, and that'll be available to you. Here is the Helix Nebula. This is a planetary nebula. It's the closest one to us. And this one, all right, you can see the central star, which is a white dwarf. And again, you can zoom way in. You can see details in here beyond your wildest imagination. And this is all because we've literally hyper-processed these to look good. Even better than what you get. All right. So that's an example of the imagery that you'll see. We take a number of composites. Here's one, which is the tadpoles. That's these objects right here. That'll be clear in just a moment. All right. And there you go. And so these tadpoles will be available. And then we have the Flaming Star Nebula up here, which is a reflection nebula with an emission nebula combined. Look at that. Just look at how beautiful that looks. So this is the kind of thing that will be available to the Patreon subscribers if you're interested. And we have several now. We only started it the other day, and we've already got 2 people. And I'm going to give them shout outs because they're doing this. We have Martin, and we have Raymond, and when we get when we get more, we're going to actually list their names on the screen as well. So that said,
excuse me, sorry.
that's okay. Yeah, that happens to me as well. You might hear me cough once in a while myself, okay? And I just actually got over COVID again. And so I still have a bit of a cough right now. And I'm trying not to allow you to hear it. Unfortunately, Daryl will hear it because what I'm doing is I'm muting myself on the stream, but not to Daryl, so Daryl would still hear it. So I apologize ahead of time for that, Daryl. You may end up hearing it. Okay, so we've stacked 32 of these. That's not bad. And this is actually it's not the brightest type of galaxy out there, so clearly we're doing okay. We actually have a moonlight to contend with as well. So the moonlight will cause some issues with how the objects look. But again, just so you can see the process, I'm going to do that for you now. Okay, you see the mottled noise? This noise we get rid of entirely. Okay, we can totally get rid of that. But I'm going to pause it here and save it. And what you see there across the top, that's our FITS file. Okay, this is a processed image. I'm processing it on the fly, right? However, the FITS file doesn't have any processing in it. You're free to do all that yourself if you are that kind of person. But let's say you're not. Well, then you can just go here and see save it exactly as seen. And now we have a ping file. And if we click on that, okay, this is what you get. This is the ping file that you'll get. All right. I see we actually have a cloud that's up there as well, which is... we have some clouds out there, high clouds. But there you go. So that's what we're looking at right there. All right. So we may be taking this image through high clouds for all we know. But let's back out here now. Go to auto, and we're going to go back to our 1 second exposure. But I'm actually going to put us in what I call our night vision mode. Okay. And you'll notice the night vision mode here. All right, just a sec.
Izabela beat me to it. I was about to post a link to the server.
Okay, thank you, Izabela.
She's on the ball tonight.
Yeah, Izabela, like I said, she's one of our superstars. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the stack here, and then we'll get back our night vision imagery. There we go. So this is what we call our night vision mode. It allows us to see in the dark. Okay. Now, I will now go up to our planetarium. This is our planetarium that we have in here, which is tied to our telescope. And now we're going to go down to another galaxy right here, right near it, which is actually kind of cool. We're going to tell the telescope to go there right now. All right.
You see Difta there in the...
right there.
Yep, that's also known as Den of Kytos. That's the tail of the whale, Cetus the whale.
Mm-hmm.
Cetus, the sea monster to the ancient Greeks.
So you see this one is a lot brighter than the previous one. Now you'll see this also says searching. That's because it's searching for a guide star somewhere in this field. And when it finds one, there you go. It calibrates all zeros and it starts to guide. And you'll see that start to happen here in just a moment. And just so you know, we are using Starlink out there. So on occasion, you'll see a pause in the action as we wait for another satellite to come into view. But normally, we don't have to wait too long. All right. So here, what we're going to do now is we'll take this one benefits from a 25-second shot. And we're at, it's a 25-second shot there.
Bless you, I heard it.
Daryl heard me sneeze, you didn't. Okay, so 25 seconds, and off we go. And I'm going to take us out of our night vision mode and bring us into our stack. And now I'm going to clear the previous stack. All right.
Boy, where we saw Difta, the skies are marching on, time marches on as it does, and Difta's way over in the southwest now. Saturn is gone already. If you can see Venus low in the southwest after sunset now, and it's getting higher every night.
Ooh.
It's quite bright, unmistakable. Saturn is going to be joining Venus in the coming days.
Got some clouds.
Jupiter is down by before 11 o'clock now.
Yeah, we got a few clouds out there, and one thing that we do is we have this all-sky camera, and I'm going to do a 10-second acquisition just to see what the sky looks like right now. This is what it looked like when we started the stream. Hey, Jessica S., how are you? Zadarak, how you doing? Alabama, how you doing? Oh, my. Uh-oh. Looks like we got clouds.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. That's all right. Let's see if we can just poke along and capture a few things. All right. Not a problem. Well, anyway, it's kind of interesting because we're seeing through the gossamer clouds here. We're actually seeing the Sculptor Galaxy. Let me show you a little more detail in this galaxy. It's really interesting. Okay. This detail is going to be a little bit softened by this, but I might be able to fix that with this button here. Give it a click, and now you see we enhance the color and the detail in the galaxy. The Sculptor Galaxy is a large galaxy that actually has these beautiful spiral arms. You can actually kind of see them, but they're on kind of an angle to us. They're sort of like this, you know. So we're seeing them like at a perspective angle, kind of like looking at a platter on a little sloped angle. And the stars in the middle are older and are yellow in nature. The youngest stars are in the spiral arms. That's why it's bluer out here. These stars are young and hot. They form in the spiral arms, just like in our galaxy, and just like in most of the galaxies that we know of. So the spiral arms are the location where the young stars form, and the center core will tend to be some of the more evolved stars, the older stars in the central core, the youngest ones being in that spiral arms. The spiral arms formed, the very formation of the spiral arms is sort of up for debate. One way they produced themselves was through something called density wave theory. And that's kind of an odd thing to get intuitively, but honestly, the way it works is something that I think is worth just mentioning. All right. And let's just focus, say, on like this arm right here. Okay, right here, all right? If you look in there, you'll see that there's some circular structures. Well, those are areas where you have these spirals, the spiral arms of the galaxy, and they are, you would tend to think that, are they winding up over time? In other words, when we look at a galaxy, it has spiral arms, you think, well, just like a pinwheel, the more the galaxy is rotating, you would think those spiral arms would all wind up, you know? But they're not doing that. They actually rotate more like a fixed disk in some ways. And that process was something not understandable because we thought they would be winding up. So the fact is they are being pulled along and maintaining their shape. There is differential rotation. They do lag behind, on the outer reaches. So they are winding up a little bit, but not enough to explain everything. And so that's where the concept of dark matter came from. Dark matter was used to explain how a sphere of this dark matter around galaxies could help keep those spiral arms moving. But the other thing that is not really understandable to most people, and I'm sure that it's difficult to understand, is that when stars form in the spiral arms, or like we are going around our galaxy, and we go around the galaxy, well, we've gone around every 230 million years we go around our galaxy one time. So we've done like 19 or so times around our galaxy since we were born in this solar system. And in that time, the sun has traversed through the spiral arms and then come out. But wait, Mark, you just said that new stars are formed in the spiral arms. Yeah, they are. But they are also ejected from the spiral arms and move around the galaxy in their own orbits because of gravitational interactions and disturbance. And these perturbations are another reason why spiral arms could happen at all anyway. That's a whole nother concept. But leave the spiral arms alone for a minute and just think only in terms of how the spiral arms form. Remember I mentioned this thing called density wave? What the heck is that, Mark? Well, it's like this. The helicopter's in the air looking at the highway, and it sees a red car coming toward a traffic jam. The red car slows down, kind of wades its way through the traffic jam, and then once it gets through the traffic jam, it speeds up and takes off again. That red car is like the sun, say, going around the galaxy. They get into the congestion of a spiral arm, but they continue through it, and the stars that are in a spiral arm, and this is the hard one, are not the same stars for billions of years. They're only there for a few million years, and then they're moving through. So spiral arms are these structures. They're knots of gravitational interaction that will impede motion through them, but then allow it to continue. All right, think of it that way. So spiral arms are structures that are formed by having some density of material in that location, but the stars themselves are only somewhat subject to it. All right, so a density wave is like a traffic jam. When you take a look at a spiral arm and we see all these hot blue stars in there, yes, they're in the spiral arms now, but that's not where they're going to stay. That's why we see hot blue stars elsewhere in galaxies than just the spiral arms. But the concentration is, the most prolific formation is in these spiral arms. So we tend to see more of them in the spiral arms. It's really, it's just amazing, And so I just find astronomy to be the most amazing science there is, And a galaxy like the Sculptor Galaxy, that just brings out all the interesting concepts about the galaxies, because this is really one of the most beautiful galaxies. Daryl, you said something about the Sculptor Galaxy. Why don't you share that with folks, what you said about it, if it was a little higher?
If it was farther up in the northern sky, it would rival Andromeda Galaxy. It would be more of a showpiece galaxy than it is.
Yeah.
It's just so far in the south.
Yeah.
What you were just saying about density waves, doesn't that say that density waves are going around the galaxy faster than the galaxy itself is rotating?
Well, actually, the density wave is sort of like a standing wave in the galaxy. Okay, and the spiral arm itself is created by the density wave, so they're sort of one and the same. Okay, but the stars are not subject to the location. They're not stuck in one location. So when we see spiral arms and hot blue stars, we're seeing those because they formed there.
Yeah.
Okay, but have yet to move out. If spiral arms only contained the blue stars and they weren't elsewhere in the galaxy or outside the galaxy, then we would know that these hot blue stars are created and stay in these spiral arms. Now they're created there, and their imparted motion comes from interactions among each other. But then they are also being pulled on by other stars passing by, so they kind of get into that slipstream and start to move through the galaxy and go around the galaxy, if you think of it that way. And that makes it easier to understand how these motions start occurring. But the spiral arms do have a rotation of their own, okay, moving around the galaxy, and that is the density wave. And again, it's all subject to and operated by gravity, which is, of course, is determined by mass. Anyway, because of the COVID, I've actually I can't talk for very long without coughing, so pardon me.
Ricola.
You know, I had some cough drops too, but I don't want to be clacking around with cough drops while I'm in the stream. Mark was rude to my grandmother. Shame on you, sir. Who was your grandmother, Lou? I've never been rude to anybody.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, I don't think that's true at all. Everybody who knows me knows I've never been rude to a single person. Life's too short to be rude to people. So this is looking not bad, actually, for having some clouds.
That's true.
Yeah. This is 26 stacked. Okay, let's pause this right now and save it. There we go, saved, and save exactly as seen. Okay. All right, so this is now being shipped up to the cloud and will make its way down to you. And the location is has been given to you by Izabela several times. Daryl has done so. And I thank you very much, guys.
Oh, sure. I haven't done anything. Is Bonnie here? I haven't seen her.
I haven't seen her. That's Anahata 77, folks.
Yeah. I want to thank her when I see her.
Oh, really? What'd
Yeah,
she do?
She sent me some chili powder.
Oh, that's right.
I got to make a big batch of chili now.
I guess that is a thankable offense, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is really pretty. That's really gorgeous. Didn't come out poorly for the clouds. That's what's nice about this. We kind of cut through that because we're taking a time exposure, so the clouds tend to be fuzzy, but the data keeps coming through brighter and brighter and brighter as we take longer exposures and we stack them. And when we say stack, when we say 32 exposures, 26 in this case, what it means is we take one picture, then we take another one, align it with the first, and put it on top, right? And just keep doing that over and over and over. And that stack will get us will get us much cleaner data, and all the noise you see in between is removed over time. Look at that. That's not bad. Look at how we also have remarked in the past how bright red the core of this galaxy is. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on out and go go up here. And that's our night vision mode, and then we'll come back. To here. There we go. Bullwinkle's adding some facts about the Sculptor Galaxy. Thank you very much. He said it was discovered in 1783 by Caroline Herschel, 2 years before William Herschel discovered the Needle's Eye Galaxy. Very nice. Okay, let's go back to our planetarium and see where else we want to go. Let's try. Let me go take another look and take another photo with the all sky cam. Yeah. Okay. All right, and let's see what it says. 10-second acquisition. As you can see, the moon is up. Do one more. All right.
Go away, clouds.
I know, right? Well, we can look straight up, and it looks a little better. So we'll look at something straight up if we can. Okay, so let's do that. So pull that down. Come back, and let's go up to the zenith. First thing we're going to do is get rid of our lines here and go here. All right, so what this tells me... well, we do have the Pleiades right up there. We can try that. Let's go there.
Sure.
You'll watch the telescope over my head. You'll see the telescope is going to start swinging up. There it goes. And you'll see the Pleiades come into here. Can't miss them. Ready? There they are. Ah, beautiful. So once the telescope stabilizes on it, I will move them into a better position. There we go. We're going to head to the west a little bit. I did a talk in Dantonio, Colorado, and Bonnie drove 4.5 hours to come see the talk, maybe even more. That was very nice. Hello, Dan Norton. How are you? Oh yeah, San Diego. You know what I do? Dan Norton is in San Diego. I'll go to the San Diego harbor webcams. I spent some time out at the deep submergence on Point Loma at Coronado Island, because I also do work for the Navy, and so I ended up spending some time talking to all the deep submergence folks, learned some really cool things. And I was actually doing a model for them, a very high-end model. And so when I did that, I really kind of explored San Diego. I went to Silver Strand Beach. I helped the guy find his glasses that had fallen in the sand and got buried by the surf. But it was really a beautiful place. It's one of the few cities I think I could actually live in. You know, I don't like flying into it though, because flying into San Diego, you actually kind of fly between buildings. You know, it's kind of weird. Parking garage, I think it was, and you gotta kind of drop in. You know, Think, whoa, okay. All right, we're going to do a 30-second shot of the Pleiades here. We are guiding, as you can see here. Yeah. All right, here we go. We got our progress bars over here. So let's go into our live stack, clean it up, and get it ready for the next shot. All right. And then we'll get rid of this histogram here. We don't need this because this is gonna over brighten everything. Hello, Taryn Marie. Nice to see you. Dan Norton says lives just south of Coronado Strand in Imperial Beach. Very nice. Okay, I'm gonna pull this over now, show you some of the detail you can see in the Pleiades. Look at that. Now, the Pleiades star cluster has literally at least 100 members. Most people just see these stars and say, oh, the Pleiades, the Seven Sisters. Not really. There's 100 of them in here, you know. These just happen to be the most prominent, and they're B-type stars, so they're actually really pretty hot. Let's color correct so you can see kind of what this is looking like. So this is a color correction, and let me just work on the levels a little bit just to kind of help you see the contrast between the color. The round purple lines, those are halos. These halos are due to our system, the imaging system. We have a system out there that can take images of faint nebulae in seconds rather than the many minutes it might take, because we're using a F2 system. We've converted the F8 photographic F numbers, right? F8 is slow photographically compared to F4, and that's slow compared to F2. And F2 is pretty much fastest system you can have, and we have an F2. So we've turned our 10-inch telescope, 10-inch diameter telescope, into an F2. And of course, made it all robotically controlled. Okay, so there we go. Isn't that pretty? Pleiades are beautiful. We may save this one. And one thing to...
Arigato, Mr. Roboto.
That's right. Hi, Cindy. Cindy Murphy. Nice to see you. Cheryl, Texas says, beautiful. All right. You can't deny the beauty of the Pleiades. And the quality of the Subaru. I didn't go to Hike-Off Dome Theater, no. When I was there, I actually had to spend a lot of time out in deep submergence because I was building a model of the DSRV Mystic and the Avalon. And those are Navy rescue vehicles. If there's what's called a sub-sunk condition where a sub has gone down and sunk, if it's reachable, these vehicles are used to retrieve the crew and rescue the crew. And I have probably one of the most detailed models ever made of it, because they gave me full access to it. So I mean, how could you not have the most detailed model in the world? We did another one called the NR1. Our model, the NR1, is unparalleled in its details. And I spent 3 months in the dry dock with the real NR1 submarine, and I photographed every stem to stern, every detail. You know I'm detail-oriented, guys, so clearly that's something I would do. And I ended up making a model that's so accurate, I guess, that they chose to use it as a National Archives model for the NR1. It's in the National Archives, which is kind of cool, I guess. But, you know, that's what you do when astronomy's not paying the bills, okay? But as astronomy starts to pay the bills, I'm going to probably start doing a lot of that. You know, a lot of astronomy versus the model making.
I would think those things would wind up on an admiral's desk somewhere.
Many have. I actually did over 100 NR1 models for the Navy, and I know that, you know, and they're literally over 2 feet long, and they're so detailed. I literally put even the mistakes that the sub refitters in Portsmouth Naval Shipyard put on them. Drilled holes that were wrongly drilled in the fiberglass casing on the top deck, I put those in too. They were like, "Why'd you put those in? Those are mistakes." Yeah, I know they're mistakes, but they're on the boat, so they're going to be on the model. They're like, oh. But that's the attention to detail thing, right? Just like this, attention to detail. You bring the night sky to people in a way that they just have never seen it. There's no one doing what we do. No one. Doing nightly streams. Oh, you got plenty of people doing nightly streams of astronomy. Okay? But seeing multiple objects, learning about these objects, okay, there's nobody doing this. And I just can't understand why. Like, for instance, the Pleiades, around 400 light years away or so. Remember, it's a 3D universe, so some are farther, some are closer. They're traveling through a dust cloud as these young stars. Remember I told you how, you know, stars will form in the spiral arms and be moving through? Well, the Pleiades, the group of 100 stars that are visible in this image, are also moving, and they're moving through the region of space, and this region of space has dust. This dust is generated and created by countless supernovae over the eons, and through billions of years, in fact. And the mechanism that creates dust, usually made of silica, you know, silicon atoms that are bundled together, carbon atoms bundled together, and silicon and carbon atoms all bundled together in the same cloud, along with many ice particles that form on the surfaces of these particles. Okay, this dark dust also has the property that it scatters the blue light from stars. So if these stars were yellow stars like the sun, the blue light from those stars would still be scattered, and we'd still see a blue nebula here, and like this beautiful bright one right here. That's actually not artificial. That's a real nebula. We'll zoom in on that for a sec. That's called the Maya Nebula. Okay, all right. And this is the Maya Nebula, and this one down here. Yeah, we're getting too close because we're starting to see the noise. We're going to get rid of that noise. Don't worry. All right. So that's the Maya Nebula. And then down here, this one, this beautiful, looks brushed, right? Well, this is actually sheets of dust light years across in this region, and it's not associated with these stars. The stars are passing through it. How do we know? Because these stars, we study their motions through space, and we get a value known as the proper motion, which is the speed of the star, you know, as it moves through space in a particular direction. Well, it turns out that the dust is moving in a different direction. So it's not moving with the stars. It's actually, they're crossing paths. And because they're crossing paths, we just happen to see it now. And the dust that the Pleiades are enveloped in could be dust that we are also enveloped in at the sun. So we're learning a lot about our local universe. There's a lot to go, a lot to do, still a lot to go, a lot of knowledge to learn. But this is all interesting stuff that we're just starting to get on top of now.
When we look up toward the constellation Taurus in the sky, which is where the Pleiades are, Taurus has a large molecular dust cloud.
It does.
It's actually very cloudy. You can take deep exposure to the constellation, and there's dust clouds all over the place up there.
And that's right, and we've done that. We've taken very deep cloud shots. Because we have the moon out and some clouds, it doesn't make any sense, nor is it fruitful, to take images of dark dust clouds. And the reason is because when you have dark dust clouds, dark dust is the hardest thing to pull out. So when you have a dark dust cloud like that, you need to have a good dark night in order to see it. So that's something that we'll have to wait for, which is fine. But this is what we're looking at. Okay, this is the Pleiades. All right. Hey, Sam S., how are you? Sam S. says the most recent screen I've seen from McDonald Observatory is 2 years old. I agree. You know, I saw that as well. And thank you, Izabela, for putting our Patreon link up there again. That's very kind. You know, the McDonald Observatory, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do these streams, because they're actually broadcasting to the world. So COVID may have shut them down, but to be shut down by COVID means that you've got multiple people around. And I'm alone in my control room here, so it's not a big deal. I do have an N95 mask, though, just in case anyone in the audience was a little bit jittery about talking to me tonight. That's a joke. But it's very rare. I haven't worn a mask in months because, to be honest, COVID's danger is not as it was. I've had it twice, 3 times. When it first came out was the worst, and that was February after it became known that January in the U.S. And I was in Las Vegas doing a talk, and it was really hard to breathe. Then they had it in July, this past July in Denver. I got it in Roswell, went to Denver, and did my talk there. I was 30 feet from everybody because I was up on the stage in front of all the people. And
Gave it to everybody in Denver.
I did not. I didn't give it to a single person. Because when I finally tested in Denver, I said, okay, I better isolate. So I did. And then I had to do Coast to Coast AM that night after I did my talk. And my time to be on was from 1 in the morning to 3 in the morning, Denver time. Oh. And imagine, you're exhausted, physically exhausted, and you having trouble breathing, and you have this constant problem with COVID bringing you down all the time. I barely had enough energy to stay up, but when it came time to go on the air, you just draw up, just like a red giant dredges up hydrogen and other components to the surface and carbon atoms to the surface to make carbon stars. Yeah, I know, not many people are going to get that. But just like that, I dredged up the energy to do it. And it was actually a very good showing. The host had no idea I had COVID. I didn't tell them because I didn't want them to say we're going to postpone, because there was no reason to postpone. So, but it's all good. And let's see, we've got 24 stacks for the Pleiades. Let me just tell you this. We're doing this through some light clouds, no doubt. And the thing is, the Pleiades, there's usually a lot more that we can see in the Pleiades, all right? And the fact that we can't is illustrative of the fact that we're looking at it through some clouds. And so you can kind of see the reddish hue here. Those are some clouds that are between us, but you can see some of the, you can see the brighter one like this here. This is the Maya Nebula. You can see that. All right, and that's that streak right there. That's a real streak. That's not an artifact. So we have the same here. The Merope Nebula. The Merope Nebula is getting a little bit more difficult to see now, so we must have some other clouds heading in. But we find that we have to constantly readjust our color corrections when this happens. So that's okay. Yeah, the clouds have really got bad now.
Go away, clouds.
Yeah, I know.
Think positive, people.
Ray says, well, perhaps you should wear a yellow hazmat suit to keep it all in. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. All right, so go there, get rid of that. There we go. So, let's go and do another look at our all-sky cam. I probably pushed doing the stream tonight and probably shouldn't have, because, it was just not the best thing to do. Come here, you come out of there. All right. But I wanted to do something for you guys because I haven't done it in a while.
A stream of clouds is better than no stream at all.
I guess that's true. Well, we still got to talk about the cool galactic structures and things like that. Oh! This is the current view. Yeah. You were saying about the stream with clouds is better than no stream at all?
I did say that, didn't I?
I defer to the no, that's not true line. Okay. All right, well, we took a lot here, but I'm not going to save this one because it's really not all that good. But, you know what? There is something that we might be able to do, and that might be to, first of all, get back into night vision mode. And you can actually see the clouds moving through the Pleiades here. See them? Yeah, there we are. So let's just size it appropriately. There we go. Oh yeah, you can see the clouds moving through.
Which two are Atlas and Pleione? Two on the left?
These guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Pleione, and I believe this is... Oh, no, I think this is Atlas, and I think that's Pleione. We can check in here. Let me just go in.
Pleione and Atlas are the parents of the 7 daughters, the 7 sisters.
That's a good thing to mention, yeah.
And they're up there hanging out with them.
Yeah, okay. Pleione is the top one, and Atlas is the lower one. Atlas was the father of Pleione, correct?
I thought they were married.
Oh, maybe they were. Okay. Yeah, maybe they were. Well, at that time, you never know with you know, that time in history.
I know Orion is chasing the Pleiades across the sky.
Yeah.
He had the hots for him.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so let's see now. Let's go check out, even with the clouds.
See how far Mars has moved?
Yeah, Mars was it was farther down near Aldebaran earlier.
Oh yeah, Mars was out near it was right between the tips of the horns of the bull there on the left.
Yeah.
Elnath and
yeah.
What's the other one? Zeta Orion.
Cosmic Ray says, time to switch to STLS at Atacama. Yeah, you know, we're actually looking at a possibility of having a, like I told you, Southern Hemisphere observatory as well. But that's something that is potentially viable for us. Right now we're focusing on getting observatory number 3 up and running. Observatory number 1 is here in the East Coast, and it's not running because the telescope's being rehabbed. That's behind me, as you can see. And actually, I can show you that. Okay, if I show you that right there, there's the telescope. And the telescope is all rehabbed and all working properly. And let me just come in here and let me highlight that for you. So now you can see it better. Okay, so there's the telescope there. And now that it's rehabbed, ready to go, we now need to put it into its building again. And the trouble is, I sold the building to somebody on Long Island, New York, because we outgrew it. We simply outgrew the building, and it was time for it to go away. We couldn't automate it as well as we wanted. It was an actual dome, and it's great, but it wasn't robust enough. So I sold it, and we're going to be taking it to the next level. I got a building now that I have a building now that's actually we're going to have a pop top on it now. It's actually going to literally pop the top off. All right, and that one is actually a really interesting opportunity and option for us. And I will show it to you as well, because I think it's kind of cool. So if you could imagine, all right, if you can imagine, all right, let's see here. All right, let's see if that works. Yeah. All right, so while this is sitting here, while we're just sort of waiting for clouds, let me bring up the left and right screen again. Okay, here's a design I came up with. This design right here is the new SkyTour LiveStream building. Okay, the top literally sits like that, right? But it's an 8-foot building, and then the top goes like this and comes down. Now, this right here is called a linear actuator, and if you look at how that goes, the linear actuator will it'll pivot on this orange pivot point and then open up by pushing the building off. Now, I know some people had brought up some ideas and possible concerns that maybe this actuator wouldn't do the job. It might be able to push hard enough or whatever. But I've actually confirmed with the engineers at the company that makes these that it certainly can push it off. You know? So I just had to figure out the force that would be required. And it has a force each. Yeah, I'm putting in two. There's one on each side. So imagine this is the same on both sides. Okay. So this one can push with a force of 600. It can push an object that's 600 pounds. Okay, let's put it that way. Same on the other side. So we have a capability of pushing with 1,200 pounds, or pushing a 1,200 pound object. So it's very high torque. We have a lot of capability in there. And if we were to move it a little more up, well, then it would move it less, maybe only to, say, here. But we could do it as well. It's all how these are placed. And this is the optimal placement to give our building the work, or to have it do it. So basically, it's going to be a pop top that does that. You know? And it's actually not a bad thing at all. And I think it's pretty thoroughly researched, pretty thoroughly engineered. So I'm really not concerned, you know. And now Izabela says, question, is there a particular reason most observatories are round? You know, Izabela, that's a good question. I think mostly they're round because the instrumentation inside is fairly large. And you want to be able to have it sticking up enough so that there's a domed building over the top of it, right? When I was using the 20-inch refractor and working on the parallax program, or looking at studying distances to nearby stars, well, that was like a 35-foot long refractor, and it was a 20-inch refractor, and the entire floor moved up and down to meet the telescope, and it was actually in a domed building. And whenever you went in there to see it, the telescope was at an angle like this, sitting up into the sky and looking, and the end of it was several feet from the end of the dome at all times. But the dome was an enclosure to surround the telescope because it was so big, and it allowed you to see most of the sky with that telescope because you used the dome. In my case, our case here, you notice the building here right there, okay? That wall, right, does cause problems, right? I mean, that wall will cause us to not be able to see. It'll cause us to not be able to see some of the objects we're looking at, right? So we can't look down at a point where these will be in the way. This altitude here is around 30 degrees. This altitude here, we have to have objects cross the 45th degree, or 41st degree in altitude before we can see them again, or see them. But that's okay, because in this direction, looking that direction, we can see the faint lights of Phoenix with our sensitive cameras. To your eye, you don't see them at all, but the cameras can see them. So we're not taking any pictures toward the east, because that's stuff coming, like Orion, right? So that's what we see there. Now let's just try something. Oh, look at that. The Pleiades are really getting the clouds passing through.
Can I say something while we have stellarium up there?
Yeah.
As you mentioned a while ago, you see Mars up there above the Pleiades now, the Bull's Head in Taurus. And if you remember back on December 7th, Mars was right down between the tips of the horns of the bull, and that was when the moon passed in front of Mars that night. And that night, Mars and the moon were both at opposition, opposite the sun in the sky, 180 degrees from the sun in the sky. And now you see Mars has fallen all the way back to the west. I've talked about retrograde motion before, and you're seeing it now that Mars and the moon and the planets generally move west to east in the sky. But when we pass a superior planet, one farther from the sun than us, as it goes through opposition, we see those planets start moving backwards in the sky, retrograde motion, or east to west. And after we get a ways ahead of them, this is like that old highway in the sky concept I talked about, where Earth is in the left-hand lane and the outer planets are over in the lanes to our right, that as we passed Mars in the right-hand lane, it fell behind us. And the same thing is happening here now. Mars is moving in retrograde. It's going to resume direct motion west to east here, not too far in the future, at which time Mars will start moving west to east again and heading toward and actually through the constellation Gemini into Cancer and on its way around the sun. This consternated ancient astronomers greatly, because they couldn't explain why something would move backwards in the sky. A planet would move backwards.
Ptolemy tried.
I'm sorry?
Ptolemy tried.
Oh, yeah. This is where the idea of epicycles and the clockwork solar system and all that came from. And this all goes back to the old idea of the Earth-centered universe. And it took Nicholas Copernicus to explain why we see that is because we're not in an Earth-centered universe. We're in a sun-centered solar system.
Right. So this is the Pirate Moon cluster right here that we just navigated to. We can still see clusters even though the sky is just a little bit cloudy. I'll move the telescope over and center it up. Thank you for that, Daryl.
Yeah. Would you excuse me a moment, please?
Sure.
Right back.
JSEO 77. How are you, man? Even with clouds, it doesn't look that bad. It actually is very interesting. We do have the moon out, which is illuminating the clouds and brightening our imagery, okay? And sometimes making it go away. Wow. Okay, so this this cluster, let's go there again. Let's just go here. Pirate Moon cluster. Let's see if I get data about it. It's a rich cluster with more than 100 stars, but you can't really see them too well tonight. You know, we would see it much better. Of course, the Pleiades has, you know, over 100 stars in it as well, but they're 400 light years away. This is probably a lot farther. I don't know the actual distance of the Pirate Moon cluster. So, not a problem. I'll tell you, that's nice. I don't mind. Let's go up to 50% and move it into the middle. Ah, not bad. So we can, this is actually the middle right here. All right, let's actually get rid of that. All right. Go back to 33% mode. Yeah, so center's over there. We're moving right toward the center. Okay. Well, that's cool. Just looking at things. Dean Bussador says, well, given the clouds, is lunar observation an option? Yeah, it is. But the trouble is that the moon needs to come up more substantially for us to get above the threshold. Oh, wait, look at this. Clouds are clearing a little bit on the Pirate Moon cluster. It's kind of cool, huh? Donald Kunzer said, Mark, I remember you said you could hook up a spectrometer to a telescope. Are you doing that on the next visit? No, Donald, that telescope, this telescope here is not going to have a spectrometer on it. This is always going to be a visual telescope to capture wide field views. Remember that the size of our field is 4 full moons across and 3 full moons tall. Okay, it's a 2-degree field, so we're not gonna be putting a spectroscope on this particular system. The next telescope, though, I have a spectroscope behind me in a shelf that I use. I was just calibrating it the other day, and we have a filter wheel, and we're gonna do photography like this, where we have an all-encompassing filter that will do slots of the things we want to see, like hydrogen alpha, oxygen 3, and sulfur. All right, and those 3 together are called narrow band filters, and then we combine them to make images. That's a longer process, but we also will be able to do it all in one, like we do here tonight and normally. But that filter wheel is also going to have the ability to have a wheel come through that actually has our spectrometer aperture in it, and then we'll be able to do spectral readings as well. So we can look at individual stars and say, by looking at this star right here, we can determine what type of star it is just by looking at its spectrum, and do other things, which is really cool. So that's one of the things we're going to do with that spectroscope and spectrometer.
That's the F6.3 telescope, right?
That's the one behind me, yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at the clouds move.
I know. And again, this is a 1 second exposure. If I brought this down to say 350 or 360 milliseconds, okay, then you'll see them moving a lot faster, but of course it's dimmer, right? But now you can see how they're moving more at a constant rate. So the most important thing is the exposure here, but then down here is the gain. Gain is the sensitivity of the sensor. All right, and what we do is we typically use 1 second for the exposure, and the gain is typically around 300 for our photography that we do. But we've gone to 400. It can go to 6, but it gets noisier and noisier. And we can drop the sensitivity down to say 300. It'll get a little bit dimmer, and you'll see some of the noise goes away. All right. So that's Pirate Moon, and let's and it doesn't make any sense to take photographs of it when it's cloudy like this, unfortunately.
This reminds me of the good old days chasing sucker holes.
Oh yeah. What Daryl's referring to are the holes in the clouds. And quick, look here, we got something. We can check this out. Remember that?
By the time you get the telescope there, it's moved on.
Yeah.
And clouded it over again.
Yep. We could try, actually, I have an idea. Just to do it anyway, because why not? We'll try to see how the Crab Nebula looks right now. It'll be clouds, but let's check out the Crab Nebula. Watch the telescope move over my head here a little bit. It's gonna stop here momentarily, and it's gonna stop on the Crab Nebula. There it is. Okay. So we're
I
gonna.
assume that's Zeta Tauri, just to the lower left of it, right?
Yeah, that one is always. That's sort of like a star hopping. If you're doing it by manually moving the telescope, you go to Zeta Tauri. Is it Zeta or Xi?
I think it's Zeta.
Okay. And then when you get there, you can actually then go to the upper right and follow that path and star hop until you find it. It's pretty cool. So we're going to go to the west a little bit now.
I could be wrong.
No, I don't know. I recall that as a very important star in this process.
Well, take a quick look at Stellarium. It'll tell you.
That's true. It will.
I thought I was wrong once, but I was mistaken.
Ah! Bum bum. That's Tangwan. That's Zeta, yeah. Aleka. Tianguan. Alright. Okay, so there it is. Now you say, well, I don't see much. I don't blame you. Of course you don't. But let's actually do this. Let's make a 25-second exposure of this. The clouds will kind of get averaged out. It's going to be a lousy shot, really. But let's do it anyway and do a stack and see if we can actually capture some of the detail in the Crab Nebula. First, we clear the Pleiades from before. And let's see what this looks like. The clouds are booking, Donald. Let's agree with that. Alright, what do we got? Okay, let's do this and do this. And there is the crab right there. Crab Nebula. Okay. Okay, there we are. This will be the second one. When the second one comes in into the stack, it usually clears 50% of the noise away, which makes it much easier to see it. But here you can see the crab on a clear night. This is just, of course, stunning. But yeah, as you can see, let's do this.
Oh,
What?
Windows 11 is downloading.
Oh, that's not on the machine. Daryl sees messages you don't see, guys, so.
I was just concerned it might mess you up.
No, because it's downloading, it's not installing. I've refused the update to Windows 11 that comes onto the machine now and then. This machine has issues too. I mean, this machine is blowing up on me too, so I get a black screen and it goes dark. And when that happens, you'll see probably just the last image and I'll probably be like frozen. And that's all you'll see. And you'll wonder where the stream went. And the stream's going to keep on going. And then I'd have to get the telescope all buttoned up after coming back later. See these filaments? It's hard to see them, but again, I can't stress enough that you don't see this on a beautiful clear night. It's just it's so much nicer. But you can see them now.
Yep. If the computer locks up, it'll be just like watching Marc fall into a black hole. Everything will freeze and then just
spaghettification.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you look, to see an object that's faintish like the Crab Nebula, to see that on through clouds, not a bad thing. Not a bad capability, right? Look at Zeta Tauri is actually starting to throw some illumination in here, and it's not even in here. Ah, well. All right, well, I guess that this sort of limits our abilities, but I'm going to do one more object before we go. This is a really beautiful cluster called Messier 35, also NGC 2168. And we're going to clear this and go back to the 1 second shot here. Yeah, right. There we go. There it is. Let's bring it in. Messier 35 was one of the first clusters I looked at, because when I got my telescope as a child, the first thing I looked at was the Orion Nebula. And then I went up into the sky to check out the Horsehead, thinking I was going to see the Horsehead. Why? Because it was on the cover of my astronomy book. I couldn't see it. Not with a 2-inch refractor that I had. And so then I looked at my star chart and said, well, wait, what about this M35? What's that? And when I looked at it, I was like, wow, look at this beautiful cluster. And so it was this stunning cluster that is right here. You can see it. And we'll do a, just for fun, we'll do a 20-second shot of it. It'll be pretty bright, but we'll be able to do something with it.
And there's actually 2 clusters in one.
That's correct. And while this is coming in, I'll mention that because that's a good point. If we look at this, okay, this is the cluster, and then we also have Messier 35. We also have NGC 2538, is it? Or 2458? I think it's 2158?
2168?
No, it's this one.
Look. Yeah.
That's 2158.
2158.
21.
And,
yeah.
Messier 35 itself is 2168.
Oh, okay, right. All right, so there we are, and clearly, let's see if we can adjust to make it look reasonable. Oh, sorry, I got to get rid of this. I have it on double duty. There we go. So there's Messier 35, and one thing that you can see right away, you see Messier 35's beautiful countenance, right? And then right down here, this is 2158, which is that other cluster, seen through dust and other things, so it looks a little redder because star's light is stolen basically by dust. Remember I told you how starlight is scattered by dust, and the blue parts especially. So that means that the light is reddened because the blue is taken away, leaving the red, orange, yellow, green to come through. And the red, orange, and yellow tend to look orange. So that's the majority of the light coming to you. And so it's getting scattered. The blue light is getting scattered, and the red, orange, and yellow are allowed to come through. So clusters seen through dust that's scattering the blue part of the starlight will seem to be redder. That's called interstellar reddening, and we did a lot of that. In fact, whenever we looked at objects, we had to figure out what the reddening was going to be before we could actually do any serious work on the stars. We had to understand that and get that all taken care of. This is a better way now. Again, those diagonal streaks are coming away very soon. So there is Messier 35, and that's 2168, and this is 2158. NGC stands for New General Catalog.
Yeah, the 2 clusters are unrelated.
Right.
35 is a little less than 3,000 light years away, and 2158 is about 9,000 light years farther away, about
Yeah.
12,000 light years away.
Put that out so you can see it. And they're in order. So Messier 35 is here, and Messier 21 or NGC 2158 is there. Okay. There's a lot of different star catalogs, right? We have the Messier catalog, thus the M, and we have the new general catalog, thus the NGC. We have the Sharpless catalog, the Caldwell catalog, the Vandenberg catalog, and it goes on and on. There's many different catalogs of objects and stars. There's catalogs of galaxy clusters. There's catalogs of double stars. There's catalogs of nebulae, dark nebulae. There's catalogs of bright nebulae. Okay, Lynn's dark nebulae catalog, LDN, and Lynn's bright nebula catalog, LBN. So there's so many different catalogs out there because there are so many things out there that require classification, you know? I didn't see you wrote I got better because you wrote, he turned me into a newt. What? A newt? I got better. That was funny. Was that Grail? Holy Grail?
Yes.
Yeah.
John, please, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got better. Okay, so as you can see, guys, I'm stretching the evening a little bit further, you know, just for newcomers to see kind of what we do. Make it obvious that, you know, we have some pretty good equipment here, let me tell you.
We're barely scratching the surface tonight, what with the clouds.
Yeah.
The smaller cluster there, they at one time they thought was a globular cluster.
This one here?
Yep.
2158.
Yep.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just seems like we have to put too much contrast in like this to really show them, and then we start to see the noise. But we can actually remove some of the noise just by doing this. Pulled out some of the noise, but then we're going to lose some of the fainter elements. If I go way down, okay, then you see, oh look, it's no noise, but we also lose the details in this cluster. That's alright. Taryn Marie, thank you so much for coming along. I know you have to go back to work. Thank you very much. So good to see you. And guys, if you get a chance, you know, do check out our Patreon, okay? We do have a Patreon now that's actually fairly reasonable, you know, for the cost of a cup of coffee from Starbucks now. Yeah, coffee is expensive. $5 a month and $10 a month. We offer different things for you, and then, you know, for the people that really want to go hog wild, we have $100 and $200 a month Patreons. It took me a long time to decide that I was going to take it that route. But everything you saw tonight, it's always going to be free. We're never going to be charging for any of that. The Patreon subscribers, they get a little extra for their money. But I don't expect that from everybody, and I certainly won't treat anybody any differently, because I never do. And you know, I think that people know me well enough to know that. So if you could check out the Patreon, see if any of those tiers make any sense to you. If you want to contribute, that'd be wonderful. If not, no problem. I look forward to seeing you again anyway, right? Because you know, Daryl and I, Izabela with everything she's doing, and the other people in the SkyTour LiveStream team named, we have Marianne Robb and we have Tara Diulis. Tara's our artist who has made our door for the observatory and is also a very, very important person in the organization because she is the rule keeper. She makes sure that we're not breaking any of the rules for our nonprofit corporation status. Marianne Robb, of course, she is the treasurer. She manages a lot of the financial end of things for us. And you know what? We're not making, this is all being done without any money to us. We're not making any money on this, and we don't want to. But in order to keep bringing you the internet, I mean, this is coming to you courtesy of $110 a month out in the Arizona desert. And when we get the Connecticut building back up, that's going to be $110 a month as well. And it won't be Starlink. It's going to be the regular high-speed net that we have. And then we have a third observatory that we're going to be putting in, which is going to itself be just incredible. And that's going to have a whole different telescope in it. And that telescope money has been gifted to us from another individual who is very interested in seeing us succeed. And that is money specifically for equipment and not for services or anything else. I'm kind of wacky that way. I don't want to spend money that is just because I want to get a new filter. All in good time is how I look at things, you know, all in good time. So, like I said, check it out. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, I look forward to seeing you again, you know, and I think that I think that you'll never take astronomy out of my blood. I'm an astronomer through and through. And this is what I do and what I want to do forever. That's me. So I am going to probably call the stream now because our clouds are probably getting worse. I'm going to go do one more shot out here. This is what it looked like before. Let's go see if we have a reprieve coming. So we're going to do another 10-second shot. And let me get rid of this. Oh, no.
Oh, well.
This right here is not a snaky thing. This is actually it was actually a bird poop on our camera dome out there. This right here. And there was a rainstorm out there that washed off the two big blobs and left a little tiny edge. So I was very grateful to see the rain come through. But you can see there's a 180-degree camera out there. It's like, zoop. And of course, this is east, this is west, that's north, and that's south.
Yeah, hey, you rotated the image.
I sure did. And I found out how to do it. Basically, I flipped it vertically and then horizontally. And that did the right thing. All right.
That matches up with my Heavens Above now.
There you go. That's right.
North is on the top and east is to the left.
Yep.
Just like if you're staring straight up in the sky, which I guess you are there.
Exactly. Well, folks, thank you so much for coming. It was really nice to see you guys. And you know what? I really had no business doing a stream tonight, but I wanted to because it's been a while and it's in my blood. You know, it's in my blood. So that's all there is to it. So the next time it's clear, I'm going to be doing this again. It looks like we're going to be clear Thursday, and the moon will be that much further into its cycle, so that'll be good for us. So I'm excited that maybe we'll be able to talk then and do another stream for you. Very important. This stuff is not going to go away, and neither am I. So I hope you guys have a good night. And again, thank you. And you know what that music means? Uh-oh. That means beginning and the end of the stream. I sandwiched this song in between, or at the each end, rather. So you guys have a good night. And I will talk to you later. Daryl, you have a good evening as well.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for having me on, as always.
As always, it's wonderful, you know, and thank you guys. And thank you and all the new folks. Thank you for coming out. It's great to see your faces in my mind. I haven't seen your faces for real. But I will talk to you again, and you have a good evening. And remember, when you go outside, you keep looking up, all right? We'll see you later.